2 or 3 times. Isn't he challenging this? Isn't he? Look, there's got to be changes on this team after this year. A win. Yeah. I mean, look, let's just look at it this way. Okay, it's fine. Rodgers beat him in Chicago. He still got the record against the Bears, the whole thing, and whatever. But the Bears are just worse than we are, and that ain't saying much, to be honest with you, Bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But take positives out of the game is Watson and a couple other. That's what I look at now. And if there's a guy who's going to be a free agent after this year, Deron Payne from the Redskins, he's a beast. If they don't franchise this guy, and it looks like they're not going to, from what I'm reading, the Packers got to go. They got to cut guys to sign this guy. They really do.
You know what was really interesting today, Gerard, is I sat and I posted this, but I sat the row that I sat in, I was right behind Mark Murphy, and I'm literally within arm's length. Murphy, Gutekunst, Russ Ball, the entire brain trust was sitting right in front of me. And watching that first half, you could have heard a pin drop. It's not like they're sitting there pounding their fists or, oh, my God, or this sucks or that. But you could clearly tell before the game they were talking. They were kind of joking around, a little bit jovial. And it wasn't, like they're feeling great about the team. It's just, normal chit-chat stuff prior to a game. And once you saw Justin Fields take off and run, for the rest of the first half, you could hear a pin drop. I mean, nobody's talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. Gutekunst is making his notes. He's got his iPad out. He's making his notes. Murphy got up once or twice and just kind of paced around a little bit. It was, it's, and I've been to where I've seen these guys before. It's tense. There's a lot of guys looking at the sides of their eyes right now, just kind of wondering what the rest of the season's going to bring and what the offseason's going to bring, I think.
Well, that's good pickup, though. What you just put together, that is really, really good because you're a pretty observant guy. And what I'm saying is, you talk about Walker going sideline and Campbell. They're not thumpers. Campbell went to the wrong hole 4 times that I counted. Okay, he does get a guy when the guy's running on the outside. He tracks him down.
Yeah.
So does Walker. But when they're going through the tackles, Bill, neither one of them can tackle. Neither one of them, Bill.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. They need a guy next to Kenny Clark, and they have to go out and spend the money and cut certain guys just to get that guy or somebody like him. They need somebody that can stop a guy. I mean, make the guy just hesitate at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
These guys are getting, you know what I mean? And our linebackers don't fill the holes, Bill.
Right.
We play this. It could be anything. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out whether it's the scheme they're playing on defense. I know they don't play aggressively enough, but I can't figure it out whether it's the scheme they're playing on defense or it's the talent. I just don't know yet. And like I said, we're going to have to see after this year. And I tell you what, LaFleur, after today, what LaFleur pulled in the whole bit, it looks bad. And Rodgers makes a lot of guys look bad, coaches look bad, but some of the stuff LaFleur does, Howie could not challenge that play. And you brought up that he threw the ball long on the next play. Well, that should have not even happened. They should have had the first down. If he challenged that, that's it. The guys that were doing the game were saying, why isn't he challenging this?
Right.
Why isn't he challenging this?
Yeah, that's what I heard. And then there was some talk in the press box that somebody had said that they had thought that maybe he put his knee down, or maybe they had blown the whistle when they thought he put his knee down, and that's the reason that once the whistle's blown, there's not much you can do. So that once the whistle's blown, it's not a challengeable play. But I don't know. I didn't see it. I couldn't hear it from where I was.
Well, if there wasn't a whistle, if there wasn't a whistle blown, Bill, then he would have got up, and then they would have gotten the first down.
That's what I thought.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. No, I
get
it.
So look, it just looks bad. Whatever which way it is, it looks bad. You got the quarterback constantly at the coach. It's a bad look constantly, Bill. Constant, whatever it is, it's a bad look.
Yep. No,
absolutely. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Packers get their 5th win of the season. One of the things we needed to happen. You wanted to see certain teams lose. Right now, you've got the Commanders and the Giants. They're tied at 20. They're going into overtime. And you're kind of looking for the Commanders to drop that one. You're looking for the Rams to knock off the Seahawks today. You already saw one of the upsets earlier today you were kind of hoping for if you're a Packers fan. That was the Steelers beating the Atlanta Falcons 19-16. So that was another one of the games you were hoping that the Lions would fall to the Jaguars. That did not happen. Lions got a big win, 40-14. They blew out the Jaguars at Ford Field today. But everything else kind of falling into place. 877-867-1670. Let's get back at it. Let's go to Mike in Whitewater. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Billy. Gerard kind of took my stuff, but there was no whistle on the TV.
Okay.
He did fall himself. They kept saying it. And the announcers even said, and if there was a whistle, the players would have stopped.
Right.
They didn't stop. They kept going after him. And Jair, you go back, a month ago, and they said, well, maybe the guys are freelancing and stuff.
Right.
He freelanced on that long one on Equinix again. Yeah, he got an interception, but he's the one that led up to 2 long pass plays today that, really hurt the Packers. They were playing halfway decent, especially the second half, defensively, when they were holding them in, inside and everything. But, they immediately looked at that official that was marking it back on Dillon's run, and he just put it at the spot, and everybody looked to him as if the play was done.
That then, if that's the case, and LaFleur didn't, which he obviously didn't throw that challenge flag, then you'd have to ask yourself why. And you'd understand why Aaron Rodgers is screaming at him, saying, "Why are you not throwing the flag? Why did you not throw the flag?"
Well, if you on TV, all of his assistants were yelling at him to throw the flag.
Yeah.
Right next to LaFleur. Everybody was looking right at him to throw the flag. And I was happy for the second interception, to run the game out, except for the touchdown run again for another. I'm happy for him, but it cost me money. Hey, Bill, I'll talk to you next week.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Good week,
there
buddy.
You go. That's our buddy Mike
Bye.
listening to us in Whitewater. Thanks, Mike. Certainly appreciate it. 877-867-1670. Packers get a win. And they did it really in a half of football. The first half was an ugly first half. The second half was a tale of 2 different teams as the Packers then finally excelled and really started to play a little bit better defense. You saw Jair Alexander early on in this contest got burned, only to turn around and come back and play some solid defense in the second half of this game. Jair's been a guy that he signs the big contract in the offseason, becomes one of the highest paid defensive backs in the National Football League, has done a lot of jawing, also has been highlighted a little bit more, and has been received the ire of a lot of Packers fans as one of the problems. Today, when you talk about the defensive side of the football, Jair Alexander ended up with 7 tackles, 2 of them for loss, and also had 1 pass defended and another one picked off today. Did go up the long pass early on in the first half of this ball game, but overall, numbers-wise, did not play terribly. But when you go back to, I had a couple people asking me, why is Jair giving up the pass underneath? Because that's part of the scheme that they play. They just want you to keep it underneath. They don't want you to give up the big play downfield. They're trying to keep everything in front of them. And today they were able to do it. And again, the Chicago Bears coming into the game today, in the last few games that they've played, they've actually been able to put up some points. Now, last week against the Jets, they got stymied, no doubt about it. But they lost to the Falcons 27-24 in a game that they felt really good about. The week before that, they lost to the Lions in a 31-30 battle. That was here at Soldier Field. And prior to that, they ended up losing to the Dolphins 35-32. So this is a team that has the ability to put up some points. And the Packers held them to under 20 points today. That's not a bad way to go. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We are broadcasting here in Chicago. We're at the Sheraton Grand Hotel Riverwalk. And if you want to find us, we're in the back of the Shy Bar. If you're listening to us on the app out of Wisconsin, out of the Zone, Madison, WOZN, this is where we're going to be. Some Packers fans in here earlier today watching a game and hanging out for a while. So we appreciate Todd and Gina and their cast of crew that were here, about 12, 15 people that came by and said hello and were watching part of the game and heading down to the game and then coming back. So thanks to them for stopping by, and thanks to the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel. If you're coming down here to do some Christmas shopping, going to the Magnificent Mile, if you're coming down like we did last night and went over to the Chicago Nutcracker pop-up pop-up bar and hotel, which was spectacular. Look for the pictures over on the Facebook fan page. Or you're just going to come down and enjoy, say, the Christmas Kringle shops that are here and open during the holiday season. This is a great place to stay, and that is the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel here in downtown Chicago. Stay tuned. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Check, check.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk
28-19, the Packers knock off the Chicago Bears. Green Bay now gets their 5th win of the season, and we are broadcasting live at the Sheraton Grand Hotel here in Chicago, brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Good to have you on board. A lot of people chiming in over on the Bud Light live stream as well. Big win just before the bye. Packers now have a couple of weeks. Rodgers rests up the thumb. Everybody else hopefully gets healed. And then maybe they figure out a few things self-scouting wise. But and yes, John, I'll go back over some of the things that I saw and heard today for those that didn't catch the call with Gerard just a little while ago. I want to get back to the phone calls, though. We got our buddy L listening to us in Philadelphia. L, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, buddy. What's happening?
Yeah, this win was kind of a filler, if you want to say that much.
Yeah.
It made it much more harder than what it really was. Like you said earlier, man, I echo all your sentiments. The play calling is just, I don't understand what the heck is going on. I'm bald. I'm pulling my hair out over here.
Right.
Like you got the play where you got that play that everybody's talking about with when Dylan fell and he got back up and he said he was down by contact, yet didn't challenge that. Okay, you missed that. But then the very next play, you go deep when you just need 1 yard. And your running back is averaging 4-point-something yards per carry. Like, what are you doing? Why are you making this much harder than what it is? And this is just not just this game. They seem to do this all year long. They've been doing it. And it's just so they consistent with that, but they're inconsistent with running the ball, like consistently, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You ran the ball with Dylan at least 16, 17 times a day. You see he was able to go up and down the field. I just don't understand. Just run the ball and then go off of everything else. Christian Watson is a beast, as you can see. He home run hit with that pick there. I would love to see him and Dobbs together. Hopefully they can stay on the field for the rest of the season and see what we got there. This playoff crap, I'm not even worried about that. I just want to see our guys develop and just see what the future is going to hold for us, because we got some pieces, man. We just got to figure out who to get rid of and who to keep. And Joe Barry got to go too, by the way.
Yeah.
In the call without that.
No, I completely agree with that. And Joe Barry, in my mind, lost his job weeks ago. He's just right now just hanging on to a clipboard, whispering into a microphone, and aggravating the hell out of everybody until the end of the season. That's all he's got left for his job, as my opinion goes.
Right. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So everybody's getting on Jair Alexander about him being beat, and he got told. You know what? I don't understand how when he's back there playing, I'm under the assumption that he thinks he must have some type of some type of help behind him or something, because the way that he lines up on the receivers is just really odd. It's not like he's in a real defensive stance. He's on an angle with them. He's like leaning sideways at times. Like, I don't understand. Maybe that's just the way he usually lines up, is just unconventional like that. But he doesn't line up like a regular cornerback does over the wide receiver. Now, I don't know whether that's Joe Barry having him be that way to give off a disguise. Maybe he may blitz, or maybe he may come up. I don't know what it is. But he never looks like he's in position. But yet he makes plays. But then there's times like you see him, he have a brain fart like he'll do with Equanimeous St. Brown, his bump behind catching a long bomb today. And then what's the name, coming in and catching another pass too. So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and just give it. He just got like flat out toasted. That's not the case. I think he may think that he has some coverage over the back of him, or whatever it may be, or he just being out of position. But thank you, man.
No, appreciate it, buddy. And Mark brings up a good point too. Mark's tweeting during L's conversation. He said, "Look, when you talk about Jair, look at all the times they don't throw at him, because he does get caught at times trying to bait quarterbacks into making a throw. That I'll agree with, but he's pretty good at it. Now, Jair Alexander, by no means." And one of the things you think about as a quarterback, he didn't come into the league with this propensity to be a big-time interceptor. He was a good pass defender, a good deterrent. But he's not a guy that's going to pick you off a lot. He doesn't have great hands. He doesn't have this Neon Dion knack to the ball, or a Charles Woodson knack to the ball, or anything like that. He's getting better, but he's not a guy that baits quarterbacks into these bad throws that he then steps in front of and all of a sudden goes and picks off and goes to the house or takes him back for big yardage gains. That's not him. That's not what he does. He's a guy that is just a good defender when it comes to hanging usually with wideouts. What they're doing is starting to kind of see what he's good and not good at, certain cuts, certain digs, things like that. And then they try to get him on the inside where he's going in a lot to where the ball goes outside. You saw that today on that deep pass as well. But for the most part, Jair still, put it this way, he's highly paid, one of the highest paid in the league, no doubt about it, okay? Comes with a lot of bravado, no doubt about it. Likes to jabber a lot, no doubt about it. But he's still really good. It's not like he's terrible, okay? People are making him out to be just awful, and he's not. He's really good. He's just not, for being the highest paid defensive back in the league, he doesn't give you that. He never was going to give you that, because that's not his game. That's never been his game. 877-867-1670. Nathan just said, hey, the Giants and the Commanders just tied. Is it good for the playoff? Actually, it's not. It's one less loss for whomever. So, no, it's not good. Not good. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, do it. By the way, the last couple of drives the Packers had today, that's kind of textbook. That's the way especially that drive in the fourth quarter when they went 13 plays, 56 yards, ate up 651. That's kind of the way they should do it. And by the way, Aaron Jones didn't use him a lot in the second half. He had that bruised shin, and then once they realized they could get A.J. Dillon a little bit lathered up, the line got a little more cohesive in the second half. They started to use Dillon more, but they go to Dillon for 4, then they go to Lazard for 8, and back to Dillon for 3. And Dillon, by the way, that whole thing, he gets so much less yardage if you've noticed running out of shotgun. Under center, they hand the ball to him. Left guard, 4 yards. Under shotgun, 3 yards. In shotgun after that. Now, that one was a pass. That was a short pass, a swing pass, because they faked the handoff first. Rodgers looked to go left, and then, looked to go right, and then came back left to A.J. Dillon, and he picked up 11. Then they go to Dillon again, under center. He picks up 6 yards. Rodgers throws that pass to Cobb. Rodgers in the first half of this game was looking like him and Randall Cobb were trying to make 2010 happen all over again. Like he was just locked on Cobb. Now, in Rodgers' defense, for those that weren't sitting there at the game, there was quite a few times. There was split seconds, maybe on TV, it looked like guys were open. There really wasn't a whole lot of guys wide open. They struggled a little bit today. There were times Rodgers is back and people are talking about throw the ball. And I'm thinking to myself, where's he going to throw it? You could see the windows closing. They were very good at checking to where Rodgers' eyes would normally go. The Bears defense played pretty well today. It's just they were put in some precarious positions. Rick says, hey, Bill, Watson now the second coming of Lofton. That is really, really, really high praise, man. Really high praise. I mean, Lofton is a Hall of Famer. If Watson turns into that would be huge, no doubt about it. And when he gets in open field, it is good night, sweet prince. He has a stride about him, and I kid you not, watching him in person, this is the second time I've seen this now in person, where he just gets field and gets up on defenders and just strides and goes. And it makes it look effortless. Makes it look effortless in doing so. And you're thinking that guys are going to catch him, and they just don't have that ability. It's like he's just striding on air. Just a nice, smooth step and glide. Looks like he's striding on air, which to the opposite side was a little disconcerting when Justin Fields had the run around the right end, cuts the hole, and all of a sudden takes off for pay dirt, and there wasn't a defender on the Packers that could catch him. Once he got in open field, whether you were even with him or you had a couple of steps on him and you just couldn't get the angle to get closing speed, nobody was catching Justin Fields. And that, for the defensive backfield, was a little bit disconcerting. 877-867-1670. A lot of positive to talk about in this game, but Packers' hopes right now still somewhat alive. Next week it could change, but as of right now, still somewhat alive. Let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. Packers going to win 28-19. They go to 5-8 on the season, a win down here in Chicago. They double up on the Bears this season, and in doing so, they take the all-time victories lead of any NFL franchise. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show brought to you by Bud Light after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Riverwalk down here in Chicago, and we can't say thanks enough to them. The staff and management, we've been coming here now. I think this is like our 10th or 11th year, possibly our 12th. But well, I think it's actually our 10th, to be honest with you, because we had a year off for COVID. But it's same faces. Phil behind the bar at the Shy Bar is great. He's just an awesome guy. Thanks to Amanda, who's always awesome and treats us really well here, who is the food and beverage manager. Elmer, who is the marketing director down here. And Michael out front. Michael is absolutely awesome. The bellman that has been here for years and years, from Ireland, and has been here for years and years and years. Such an incredibly good guy. We can't say thanks enough to everybody down here. We love staying down here. And every time I come to Chicago, this is where I stay. Great hotel, great place. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Phone lines are wide open. It's like everybody after a win, you don't know what to make of it. You're not quite sure. Is this team maybe on their way back? Did we get lucky? You know, again, I went over the previous 5 games for the Chicago Bears. The last couple, not great. The 3 prior to that, they were all scoring 28 points or more. This team can score points. The defense somewhat did its job today, only giving up 19 on the afternoon. Packers today, defensively speaking, just in the statistical category, when you look at the finals, they held the Bears were 54.5% on third down today. It's not a good number by the Packers defense by any stretch of the imagination. And what stopped them was turnovers. A couple of turnovers late in the ball game. Otherwise, this defense, I don't know if they were going to get off the field. I don't know if they could have held them. Packers 46.2% on third down themselves, and going for it on fourth down. They got the first one. They were kind of in no man's land. What really gave me a preponderance was they're in no man's land. It's fourth and a few, right? And instead of just kind of trying to get the first down, they're going deep. And we talked about this earlier in the show. You got a 3rd and 2, you got a 4th and 1, and you're throwing the ball like it's a Hail Mary. It's what are you doing? And who's calling that? Is that something where Aaron Rodgers goes to the line of scrimmage? Now, he has been emphatic, remember, all season long, say, look, I'm not calling these. This is not me. I like the play call, but it's not me. And I don't know if it's just something where they just said, hey, we got Christian Watson. Let's go ahead and kind of put him on display or what. I don't know. But part of the problem is when you can't drop back because you at the early portion of this game, especially when you've got an offensive line that's still kind of feeling it out after the loss of David Bakhtiari because of the appendicitis, you're trying to kind of figure this thing out. And you're dropping them back in a 7-step drop, and here comes the rush, and guys are not quite positive, and all of a sudden there's pressure, and you're just wailing it to wail it. It just looked dysfunctional. Offensively, it looked really bad in the first half of this ballgame. Second half, a lot better. Ended up netting 357 yards. The Green Bay Packers did. They ran for 175 yards. Packers ran for 175. Nice job out of the Green Bay Packers. A.J. Dillon, 93 yards, 18 carries, 5.2 yards per carry. Obviously, you get a huge boost on the one carry for Christian Watson, the end around. He takes it to the house 46 yards. But still so, you eliminate that. You take out the 46 yards, and you're at 129 yards rushing. That's not a bad day at the office. You get over 100 yards running the football. You get Aaron Jones, 9 carries, 26 yards. Not as a break-free day today for Aaron Jones. A lot of hard yardage. Got a couple big ones, had an 11-yard run. Then they tried him wide a lot today. Tried to take him out wide, like around the end, numerous times today. And by the time he got around the end, man, the rush was already there. They're waiting for him 3 yards deep, and then he's trying to turn it around. Pursuit was good for the Bears defense. Didn't take him up the gut a whole lot. They weren't able to create many holes in the seams. And then obviously Patrick Taylor gets a carry for 6 yards, and Rodgers had a couple of scrambles today, but one for 6 yards, nothing major. But that's about the extent of it. Let's go to Joe, listening to us in Illinois. Joe, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today? What's going on?
Well, I'm great, Bill. Thank you. It's always a treat when we beat the Bears, and we did it again somehow. Bill, I have a couple of questions for you, a couple of comments, if you will. You said you were in the booth today.
Yeah.
Watching, and I talked a little bit about the tension among the higher brass. I'm wondering if that tension isn't carrying over to the team a little bit. As I watched the game today, it seemed like there was very little energy, enthusiasm. It wasn't like the Packers have been for so long. That seems to be lacking. I kept looking for maybe going to a hurry-up offense just as a change of pace, get them moving, get something different happening, and they just seem flat, Bill. And I wonder if that tension in the front office isn't carrying over to some of the players. I'm in love with Watson. Boy, I think he's going to be something special. Really, really, really fun to watch guy. And I didn't hear anything about Zach Tom today. I'm thinking he must have had a really good game because nobody was complaining about his play. It seemed like the line was playing pretty well. And I'm wondering how you thought Zach Tom did today as well.
That's a great question. You bet. Appreciate the phone call. Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking a listen to us. I didn't mean to cut you off. Going back to Zach Tom, I thought he held his own. I thought it took a little while because I think in the beginning, I think there was some guys, you're not used to the guy next to you. You know what Bakhtiari can do. You know what he can hold. You know the guys that are on that outside, whether or not they like to block in, they like to block down, they like to hold guys and just run on a field. You're trying to maybe in the back of your mind think, okay, does he have it? And then as the game went on, it seemed like they got into a little bit better rhythm. I want to go back to what you asked me about where I sat today. I sat in the press box, and because of room constraints, I ended up sitting behind the Packers press. It was Mark Murphy, it was Brian Gutekunst, it was Russ Ball, and numerous other Packers front office guys. It was not tense to the point that there was issues. What I was basically saying was early on, when I got there today, early on, there's guys, they're reading, they're checking their phones, they're talking to people, shaking some hands, and making some jokes. And, Mark Murphy was the last one up and came in and sat down next to Brian Gutekunst. So it was Murphy, Gutekunst, Russ Ball, and then the kind of the hierarchy as it goes. And I wasn't really talking to him. I said hello and, cordials and stuff. But as I sat there, and after watching Justin Fields, now early on in the ball game, remember, in that opening drive, the Bears get the ball, they go right down the field, and they ended up kicking the field goal. Okay, they went 11 plays, 53 yards. It was kind of quiet. There was not a lot of great stuff there. And then after that, the next drive, they get the ball, and it was that 5-play, 70-yard drive, but it was Justin Fields basically takes the ball around the right side, off to the races he goes, touchdown, and next thing you know, you're sitting all of a sudden going, holy mackerel, after the 55-yard touchdown run, and it looked rather ugly, okay? And at that point, the fist bumping and the talking and the chit-chatting and such pretty much stopped. It was silence. And you just watched as the guys, it was really interesting perspective as you're just watching, because you're just watching them sit there. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of motion, just sitting there. They'll look down, they'll write something down, they'll look back up, just sitting there. Then the Packers scored. And there's a little fist bump, okay, maybe we got a little life. And then halftime comes, and you're kind of thinking, okay, you're wanting to see, Russ Ball went and got a little food. A couple guys get some food, and then they come back and they reconvene, a little bit of chit-chat. And then it's like the tension as the Packers scored, the tension started to kind of go away a little bit, but there was still just guys. If I want to call it staring off into the abyss, they're just staring. And you would pay $1 million to know what's going through their mind. What are you thinking? Are you thinking there's this, are you evaluating talent? Is there a tension there? And you got to think what's going on between Brian Gutekunst and Mark Murphy as they sit next to one another. It seemed like everything's really, cordial. It's not like they're arguing or anything like that. I'm not even remotely saying that. I'm just saying it just got really quiet, and I hadn't seen it that way since like Ted Thompson. Going back to the heyday with Ted, because Ted used to command the room. Ted would be very quiet. Ted kind of commanded that room. And that's not Brian Gutekunst. He's a little more talkative. And today it wasn't that way. It was very quiet. And then I ended up getting out of there about midway through the fourth quarter. So I don't know what the room looked like or sounded like after the fact. But it was an interesting dynamic because I ended up hearkening back to Ted Thompson being very quiet. And I would love to know when the crickets start to chirp, you go, okay, what's going on? What are you thinking? Are you seeing the same things we are? Are you upset with the coverage? Are you upset with the fact that once you saw Justin Fields take off for the end zone in the 55-yard gallop that you didn't have enough speed in the secondary to catch him? Are you upset that the hole was wide open? You saw Quay Walker make a couple of plays early on, and then there was a couple of plays where he was so tied up on an offensive lineman, he couldn't get loose. It was like he was going to get driven into the ground backwards. What was it that those guys were thinking? It was just an interesting take today. That's all. It's just always good to see those guys. Always good to kind of, I'm not going to say pick their brain, but just observe. Just to be a fly on the wall and observe. That's it. 877-867-1670, 28-19. Packers get a win. They go to 5-8 on the season. Rodgers doubles up the Bears this season. Packers as a franchise take over the all-time victories lead in the National Football League by one over the Chicago Bears, getting that win today as well. And for at least another week, you take another breath and you keep your hopes alive. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Phone lines wide open. Start bringing it. Your reaction to today's game, your reaction, thoughts, everything else that goes along with it. Hit us up. 877-867-1670. Find me over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Watch it on the Bud Light live stream. I'll start to respond to some of the stuff that's flying around over there. We are brought to you by our good friends over there at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network, broadcasting live at the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk here in Chicago at the Shy Bar inside the Sheraton Grand. And love this hotel. I can't recommend it anymore if I had to. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Live in Chicago, we're at the Sheraton Grand Hotel inside the Shy Bar, right on the Riverwalk. A beautiful hotel and a great place to do the show. And we can't say thanks enough to the staff and management here. They always take care of us every time we come down during Packers-Bears week. Good stuff. Packers get a win 28-19. They knock off the Bears. They go to 5-8. 5-8 now on the season. 5-8 on the season. And basically, as you start to look at the jumble that is, in the playoffs, okay? 5-8. The Green Bay Packers right now are still sitting there behind the Falcons. They're tied with the Falcons. They win the Falcons win the tiebreaker over Green Bay based on their strength of victory. Okay, so the Packers got to continue to win. They could look for the Falcons to drop one. So with the Commanders and the Giants both they tied today. Those two teams. That means you've got, because if you're going to look at this, you got to get either the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Commanders. Those are the three teams right now that are sitting in the catbird seat. You're 2 games behind the Commanders, really 3 now because of the tie, and because both the Giants and the Commanders have wins over you. It's almost like 4 games, to be honest with you, or almost like 3.5, 4 games, to be honest with you, to get you over that hump. That tie today really hurts because you wanted the Commanders to lose. You wanted them to get that 6th loss of the season. So that way if you got a couple on them, and maybe they go on this losing jag. All of a sudden, you can jump them because I don't think you're going to jump New York. I'm not a fan of New York. I don't think the Giants are a true hardcore football team. I think they're kind of a paper champion. But you're looking for Seattle to lose today. So if Seattle loses in this afternoon game that they got going on, they are trailing the Rams 10-7. You're looking for Seattle to lose as well because Seattle also is ahead of the Green Bay Packers. You're just looking for the teams above you to lose. And who knows? Who knows what next week you get a win over the Rams. Or 2 weeks from now, you get a win over the Rams. You got the Lions still to play, Miami still to play, the Vikings still to play. You got to get a win over the Rams, and who knows what can happen. Next week, like I said, you're on the bye. So next week we're going to be really paying attention to certain games. I know I'm going to hate it, but I'm going to root for the Vikings to knock off the Lions. You're going to root for the Eagles to knock off the Giants next week. What else do you have? You're going to look for the Panthers to maybe give you a little help and knock off the Seahawks next week. I think that's it when it comes to because next week you got the Falcons are on a bye, Bears are on a bye, Packers, Colts, Commanders, and Saints. So those are the games you're going to be paying attention to. And then when you come back in week 15, if you're still hanging around, then don't forget the Giants and the Commanders face off against one another again. That Thursday night contest of what would be week 15, the Seahawks face the 49ers. Could they get beat again and really open that door for the Green Bay Packers? Saints are taking on the Falcons. You're looking for the Saints to knock off the Falcons if need be. And then you kind of go from there. You look for the Lions maybe to lose to the Jets. Packers get the win on that Monday night over the Rams. So a lot of possibilities still can happen. It's a really, really, really long shot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here blowing all the sunshine and unicorns and smoke up your rear end. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. But the Packers obviously just get rested, get healthy, and then come back and get a win over the Rams. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Rick says Alexander and Douglas, neither really fast. Alexander's got the better wheels, but he was playing on the outside when Justin Fields got loose. He wasn't going to catch him. He had some closing speed, but he still wasn't going to catch him. That's for sure. But he is faster than Rasul Douglas. Make no mistake about it. You've got this is from Paul, who said if it was not for Joe. There you go. There you go. Nice. We've got some people walking by and saying hello over on the Bud Light. They just kind of got out a screenshot there, so to speak. But Paul says if it was not for Joe and the defense, would you say that it just might have some hope? Sure. Sure. I mean, they've had a few close games in which they lost because the defense was just inept, couldn't close out a game. And you look, they have given up over 70 points in the last 2 minutes of halves this season. 70 points. And they've given over 60 in opening drives of halves this season. Think about that for a minute. So when the chips are down, like when you first get lathered up, they're giving up points and they're not really making adjustments on the fly. And then when you need it the most, when you need to shut guys down, when you need to shut a team down, you need that last drive to do it. They're not getting it done on a consistent basis. That's somewhat weak. Thomas says, I'm hoping Love gets some playing time. To me, that's more important than wishing for a miracle when it comes to the playoffs. You'd look for Love to get some playing time, but make no mistake about it, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, when you talk about the postseason, think about this. If, say, they do get there, that means they won out. It changes the dynamic. It makes them one of the winningest, or the hottest, I'm going to say, football teams going into the postseason. Then where we sit today versus where we would be sitting, say, in 4 or 5 weeks, it's different. It's a whole different look. So to say that now is erroneous. And the whole thing about Jordan Love, I understand people want to see him play. But, and as I was telling people earlier today that were over on Twitter that were saying, Jordan Love's going to make everybody eat crow. He had to slow your roll. He had 2 good series against Philadelphia. Nobody's taking that away from him. He played pretty well. No doubt. What has happened between last year and this year has been somewhat of a metamorphosis. It is what it is. But don't act like he's all of a sudden so far and light years better than Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers had a few throws today, one down on Lazard specifically. Nobody's making that throw. Nobody. I watched the defense close in. They couldn't get in fast enough. They saw his eyes. They knew it was coming. And he put it into he threaded an absolute needle. So, I get what you're saying. You want to see maybe if he's going to actually, run that offense and run it to the way that it's actually written up in the books. But be a little careful. Don't act like, Jordan Love is the next coming. You want to see what you got, but while you have hope, you hang on. It's as simple as that. Brett says, I just evaluated Goody's drafts. First and second round are okay. Free agents are pretty good. Rookie free agents are pretty good. Fourth and sixth are okay, but not as good as Ted. Fifth is okay, down from Ted. Third should be just traded away, with fourth and seventh to move into the second round or something, because they're horrible. I would completely agree with that. 1 hour down. We got another hour yet to go. The Green Bay Packers knock off the Chicago Bears 28-19. They go to 5-8 on the season, and as of right now, they resuscitated a little bit for a while anyway to keep some hopes alive in Green Bay, broadcasting in Chicago. It's been a hell of a weekend at the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel inside the Shy Bar. We got a whole lot more. Another hour. We're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur. We're going to hear from Mike Clemens inside Soldier Field. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Green and Gold postgame show, and it's all coming up right after this.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
All business owners want the same thing, to make their business succeed. At Rural Mutual, they help that happen. As the third largest writer of commercial business in Wisconsin, they take the time to learn your business so they can properly protect you. Call your local agent today or visit ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Crooked teeth may embarrass kids whose families can't afford braces, and trying to fix their teeth themselves can make things worse. Luckily, there's Donated Orthodontic Services, a program from the American Association of Orthodontists. For children and teens who qualify and are matched with a volunteer orthodontist, treatment can be life-changing and help them smile with confidence. Learn more at aaoinfo.org.
Blue 58, go! Green 18, Green 99, touch!
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Packers get a win. Nice job. And you know what? They keep hope alive. They go 28-19 today on the Bears, go to 5-8 on the season. Welcome back. We are broadcasting live in the Shy Bar, which is inside the Sheraton Grand Hotel, the Riverwalk. Beautiful place. Every time I come to Chicago, this is where we come. This is where the show stays. Myself, Mike Clemens, everybody along for the ride. And we're glad to be here. And thanks to the staff and management for taking such great care of us here as well. I'm Bill Michaels. Mike Clemens over inside Soldier Field going to be giving us a buzz here in just a little bit. We're going to hear from Christian Watson coming up here momentarily, so stay tuned for that. You're going to hear the wide receiver of the Green Bay Packers, who has now had a couple of touchdowns in the last 3 games. So whether it's through the air or on the ground, he's now really making a name for himself. The switch has flipped, as Aaron Rodgers put it earlier this week. It's like all of a sudden everything just clicked. The tumblers fell into place. Whatever you want to do to describe the oncoming of Christian Watson, and then once he gets into the open field and really begins to use that 4.2 speed, good night, sweet prince. He has got a stride and a glide, and there's not anybody bringing him down. Let's do this. Let's get Christian Watson. Christian Watson talking to the media just moments ago. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
I think it was huge. I think that whole drive was, we were putting it together on that drive. Obviously the 4th down is not the situation we wanted to be in. But if we're calling the play on 4th down, we need to execute it. So I think it was huge for us. Was it tough to tell? Were they in zone or man on that? I think they were in zone. I saw the too high look originally, so I thought I was just going to be able to double up on that backer and just find that zone right in the middle. But the safety ended up cutting the route a little bit. As soon as I turned inside, I saw Aaron rolling out. I obviously knew if it was too high and the safety was coming in, there would be no one outside. So just a quick little adjustment on the fly. Do you feel like that chemistry, even though you missed so much time, like was that chemistry for those kind of reads? Do you feel like there's something happening there now? For sure. I think that the more reps I get with 12, the better that chemistry gets. I think that I got a ways to go personally in terms of getting to the level that that I want to be at to be able to connect with 12 even more. But it's just a work in progress.
Christian, how did you feel like the coverage maybe changed in this game than what you've been facing, throughout the last couple of games?
For me personally, we're just watching film. I feel like we got a lot more aggressive play from the corners than I expected. I think I didn't execute as well as I could have on a couple of plays. Just expecting something that they were going to do, and they did something different. Obviously I just gotta continue to play fast and just adjust on the fly. But for the most part, I think it was what we expected.
Christian outscored them 18-0 in the 4th quarter. You played a big part in that dagger touchdown there. What does it say about this team that you guys were able to be down 9 going into the 4th and just turn it on like that and be able to come home with a win?
I think we just continue to show ourselves and show everybody, what we're truly capable of. When we're executing, as well as we can. Obviously we're a really, really good football team.
On the Dylan's touchdown, you ran a jet sweep fake, right? You're going through that. Could you see on that play that, there was a lot of attention being paid to you on that fake, and maybe that opened up something? Did you guys see that on the sideline afterward?
There was a few times where they didn't play me as hard as we'd expected, and then there was obviously some where they did roll. I think we knew that they weren't gonna. Or they were going to flow a lot with motions, so obviously we use that to our advantage throughout the game with a lot of motions and a lot of just shifts and stuff like that. And I think it panned out well for us. But anytime we can get even one person to just flow out of the box with the motion, it just opens it up for our backs.
Do you feel unstoppable? I'm not talking like every play, but at some point during the game, you're going to get loose for a big one.
I think that's my mindset for sure. That's the mentality, honestly, everyone has to have when they're out there. When you're going every single play, it's a one-on-one between you and the man across from you. I think that's the mentality everyone, has out there. And it's definitely the mentality I have for sure.
What do your numbers look like, and where would this team be if you had been able to go, like this from the get-go?
Obviously there's what ifs and stuff like that, but I can't predict any of that. I think that God had a plan for me, and it's working out just the way he planned.
So you don't even allow yourself to wonder like what kind of ridiculous numbers you might have had at this point?
No, it's anything that's out of my control, I'm not paying into too much.
Obviously not the spot that you guys want to be with playoff situation, but this game, an NFC North rivalry, it kind of has bragging rights. Have you gotten a feel for that, and how are you enjoying this rivalry?
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely, had a feel for it. And just the intensity of the game. I felt it from the first drive. Obviously you feel the fight every single play. And I mean, it's exciting to get any win, but it's definitely exciting to, get a win against the Bears and get a win against the NFC North opponent.
Those lines, obviously, you guys now have the most wins in franchise history. You beat them. We could hear you guys kind of going crazy now. Like, what was that like, and what does it mean to right now at least be the holder of that stat?
I mean, it's exciting. I can only speak for myself, but I mean, I truly feel blessed to be a part of an organization like the Green Bay Packers. Regardless of how the season.
There you go. That's Christian Watson joining the media after the game. And, obviously he's getting a feel for the rivalry. The question's about, do you realize what you could have done or be doing had you been able to play a full season? That's unbelievably speculative because you don't know how long it took him for things to begin to click mentally, more so than just physically. But, certainly Christian Watson obviously doing his thing right now. 877-867-1670. Now, let me say this. And Mark says, so now are you all of a sudden in favor of keeping Joe Barry? No, I'm not. The defense did a pretty good job today, second half specifically. Okay, but that doesn't change things. No. Doesn't change things. What they did was, they being the Green Bay Packers, they held this team to 3 points in the second half of the ball game. They put up 18 points, the Packers did offensively in the second half, and held the Bears to 3. That's an accomplishment. You talk about halftime adjustments. Now you have to say, nice job. However, okay, let's keep it real. Okay, let's keep this honest. However, you don't get 2 interceptions, chances are you lose the game. What they did was they said, okay, we're going to stymie the run and make sure we're keeping Justin Fields in that pocket. We're not going to let him just take off and start to beat us like Jalen Hurts, okay? Because he's already got a bad shoulder. They don't want to get him outside of the pocket, get him beat up either. I mean, you saw that early on in this game when he took the slide. So they didn't want him out running. The Packers didn't want him out running. And they said, okay, let's make sure that we can have this guy throw the football a few extra times. And if we can do that, maybe we get one. Because they weren't stopping him just to stop him. Remember, they ended up picking him off, especially down the stretch, because they were starting to move the football a little bit. So, it's a hell of an accomplishment. You get the win. But don't act like, they missed it. Because remember, they punted, the Packers get the ball in the second half, and you're coming out of that momentum, and you're thinking to yourself, man, the Packers, they scored the touchdown just before half, 17 seconds to go. If you can come right back and you can put together a drive, man, off and running you are. And instead, the Packers go 3 and out. That was it. 3 and out. And then the next drive, they went 3 and out again. So the Bears get the ball back. They go 3 and out. They punt it away. Then they get the ball back. They go 12 plays, 72 yards, right? Well, it wasn't like the Packers shut them down after that. Because then they ended up missing that field goal. So they went 5 plays, 55 yards in 5 plays. Packers are on their heels a little bit, and field goal was missed. Then they give the ball back to them. 5 plays, 26 yards. They're moving the football. Pick. And then the last drive of the game, 5 plays, 30 yards. They're starting to move the football again. Pick. So it wasn't like they just shut them down and got off the field on 3rd down. So the turnovers are always big in a game. But in this particular sense, when you don't have a defense that's shut down, lockdown defense, because remember, up until that point, the Bears, they were 54.5% on 3rd down. They weren't coming off the field on 3rd down. The Packers defense was staying on the field. So once they got the picks is what did it. It was the turnovers. That dumb timeout too, but the turnovers that did it all. So do I sit here today and go, boy, Joe Barry, boy, he won his job back? Hell no. They still have issues. They've got Quay Walker's got to figure out a way to get off blocks. Absolutely. Devondre Campbell, solid today in his return, 11 tackles today. Quay Walker, 7 tackles. Okay, 7 tackles. But like 4 of those tackles, well, I shouldn't say 4. I think it was 2 or 3 were way downfield. He was getting blown up. So Quay Walker, meanwhile, you got Jair today, 7 tackles on the backside, had the couple of tackles for loss today, had the pick today, had a couple of passes defended today. Not a bad day at the office for him. And then Keyshawn Nixon had his big pick today. Only had 1 tackle, but I'll tell you this, Keyshawn Nixon, man, I know that first return that he brought back, it only got out to about the 20, maybe the 18, 19-yard line. You're like, what are you doing? And then after that, it used to be you never wanted anybody to bring it out of the end zone. Now you look for Keyshawn Nixon because he's just got that. Look, he's not Devin Hester from years gone by for Bears fans that know him so well, but Keyshawn Nixon's got that little elusiveness, that little something that gives him some hop, and he just has sight lines. He's got ability to kind of see sight lines, where he can go, what he can get to, the ability to kind of turn it on through the whole. He's got some return ability, man. I like that. Maybe they've found themselves on special teams today. I know that Bisaccia today was not happy with special teams. He was roasting. And Mike's going to give us more. Mike Clemens going to give us a little bit more coming up here in a little bit. But he was roasting somebody on the sidelines today. We'll talk about that with Mike, too. I do want to do this. We'll step away, and we'll take a quick break, okay? Let's do this. We'll step away, take a break. Aaron Rodgers talking to the media as well. I want you to hear this, okay? I want you to hear it coming up. Talks a little bit about Keyshawn Nixon, as a matter of fact. Also talks about the rivalry, about the win today. Packers get the win 28-19. They knock off the Chicago Bears. We are broadcasting live. We are here inside the Shy Bar. That's where you can find us. We're down here inside the Shy Bar, inside the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel, and just enjoying the service, enjoying the time down here. It's been absolutely a blast this weekend. It's even more so a better weekend considering the fact that the Green Bay Packers, they got themselves a win. We are brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. We'll be back right after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers get a win 28-19. They knock off the Chicago Bears. They go to 5-8 on this season. Welcome back. It's the Green and Gold postgame show. We are broadcasting live. We are down here in the Sheraton Hotel in the Grand Riverwalk, and absolutely love it down here. And the Shy Bar is a terrific place to be. And I can't say, like I've said before, thanks enough to the staff and management and Gerard and Amanda. And I can go on. Phil and Mike out front and everybody that takes care of us. Thanks to Jim, and thanks to Sean, who walked by. His family lives in De Pere, I believe. And if hopefully I got his name correct, but he came by and said hello. We had Mandy, we had Jason that walked by a little while ago and came over, and the bar itself just opened up. There's a good gathering over at Shula's Steakhouse, and they're hanging out there. So thanks to everybody and all the Packers fans that came down to say hello, and we really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support down here and mentioning the show when you book your hotel rooms down here too. Aaron Rodgers went to the podium just moments ago. Let's take a listen to what the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers had to say.
Get upstairs and you could play. Got nothing.
I ran out of room. I had to delete some stuff real quick. Anyway, Christian said that you called his touchdown in the huddle on the end around. What can you kind of take us through that situation?
I expected them to play some man coverage, so at the last second I ran over the sideline to verify we weren't in a Rolex situation where we wanted to not score. And I think Matt was maybe a little surprised by the question. I said, hey, if this comes out the gate, do you want them to score or not? I don't know. He said score. I might have said go down first and score. So I just came in and said, don't worry about going down after this thing comes out the gate. When I came off the, handoff to the fake to AJ, and I felt like the whole side of the line was over there, I figured it was probably going to be a good play.
Aaron, I know you can't go back in time, but if you'd have had him playing like this from the get-go, how different could things have been for you guys as an offense?
Yeah, that's a hard game to play, Rob. I don't really enjoy that one a whole lot, but he's playing really, really well. He's catching the ball all the time now. I wouldn't say the technique has really changed a whole lot, but as a former receiver used to say, with an odd catching style, results. He's made a lot of catches. He hasn't dropped anything, so that's been good.
Who was that former receiver?
Jeff Janis.
I knew you were going to say that.
You guys are still you're still swimming upstream for the rest of the season as far as playoffs and all that go. Winning feels great in the moment. Does this win anything more than just feeling great in the moment?
The win against the Bears is always a little more special. There was other things involved. The all-time win total was cool. Another fourth quarter comeback. I told the guys in the locker room, we played good enough to beat anybody in the league, and at times played poor enough to lose just about anybody. Our highs have been pretty solid. This was a different Bears team. Obviously, Jalen is a super talented player, but a lot of young guys playing outside of that, other than 36. But they got a talented quarterback who's got a chance to be around for a long time. Really good running back, stud young receiver, EQ making plays. So it's a competitive game, but definitely didn't want to be walking in here losing to the Bears. It's been a nice 8 straight for us.
What are the ribs in the film too?
Yeah, the line played really good today. I moved around a decent amount, held on the ball at times, and I went to the ground one time. So that's like a dream game for somebody in my position with a pretty sore rib cage. I feel good going to the bye week that maybe both these things will be behind me.
Aaron, there were a few plays where you had a lot of time to throw and couldn't find anybody. With the Bears, with some of those guys they had that you probably weren't too familiar with, how much credit do they get for kind of making it a little bit tougher?
They did, yeah. They played a lot of coverage, a lot of too high, mixed some coverage up, played some, held the shell to the very end most of the time. But again, Jalen is a premier player. But the other young guys played pretty well. So you got to give them credit. There was, multiple times where it felt like get out of the pocket, somebody's going to come open on scramble drill, and they locked down our guys. So they definitely deserve some credit for that.
Aaron, you got a lot to think about once the season ends. But will Christian's rapid development factor into that at all? Just the promise of a pretty bright future?
Yeah, I left Cal, and I could have came back with Deshaun Jackson at receiver and Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. I don't regret it because things have turned out pretty well. But that's that would have been interesting playing with those two guys. Played Marshawn for a year, but I say that because the way that Christian's developed, you definitely got to feel good organization with his development. It's a rapid, wild development that it's hard to think about another player who goes from being kind of here and there, minimal production to go-to type player, home run player. I mean, he had two, 60-plus yard touchdowns, it seems like. Last week, catch and run on a short one, and then end around. Pretty special. So it all factor into it, but there's got to be mutual desire on both sides.
Aaron, on the third down pass, I think it was Tunyon in the end zone. Were you looking for pass interference? I think it was on Sanborn covering him. Was that what you were looking for?
It appeared from where I was at that he might have gotten tugged, but listen, the way they ref the game, there was very little penalties the entire game. There's probably a couple that could have been called. Seemed like one on our sideline to Jonesy, maybe that one. But, yeah, I mean, Bobby said he got tugged, but must not have been big enough for Terrence to throw the flag back there.
At the start of that drive, did you feel like that was your chance? Was there any particular message? I know you've been in that situation many times, but after the way the Bears have defended you, was there anything you said to just inspire your team or whatever to this is the opportunity? Did anything special about that particular moment?
Well, I mean, I don't think it was anything they were doing. They were playing soft and playing coverage, and we had basically two drives stall out with a false start and a negative 6-yard run. So it wasn't like, we were struggling on offense. I just feel like we, had some third and extra longs and didn't convert them. But the urgency goes up. But I think the most important play probably of the game was me just settling in the progression from an offense standpoint and throwing the ball on the left sideline to Christian on 3rd and 7. Down 19-10 because right before the fourth quarter, and that kind of settled things down. And then we put together a nice drive. I got a touchdown, got a stop, and then put together a field goal, and obviously a big interception. And very nice play call by Matt. Love it that he trusted us to go for 2 there to put that thing away as well.
Even with how things have gone this season and started this game, is there ever a thought in your head throughout this game, intangibly, not with anything that's going on in the game, like it's me against the Bears, it's Packers against Bears, everything's going to work out?
Yeah, I mean, it has over the years, so you definitely draw a lot of confidence and good memories off of, this matchup. We've had a tremendous amount of success during my time against them. I've enjoyed playing here, a lot of great memories here. Over the years, obviously won the NFC Championship here and hit Cobby in 13 on a big play and Jordy in 16 on a big play. And it's been a special rivalry that I've been able to be a part of. And there was probably a lot of people that felt good at 19-10. So did I.
Speaking of that, I mean, you outscored 18-0 in the fourth quarter.
What clicked for your game?
Well, we got the ball to 9. He hadn't really been involved a whole lot. I think he had just one catch for the touchdown. And we hit him on that 3rd and 7 play. It got the drive going, and then obviously the last touchdown was to him as well. So they did, with the.
There you go, Aaron Rodgers talking to the media after the ball game, and a couple of things there that he brings up. He's talking about. First of all, he's using the term "we." When I said you outscored him, he said we outscored him. Is this an Aaron Rodgers that's going to give out all the credit to everybody? That's going to also take more blame? Is this a different Aaron Rodgers that we're starting to witness? Something to think about. However, it was interesting there because he was talking about the rivalry almost as if he's now reflecting back on a career that could be coming to an end. I don't think it is. The question to ask, and I think it's a more realistic question, a more true question, was last year or the year prior or to that really, was that David Bakhtiari's last turn here? Most likely it is. Going down with the appendicitis and not being able to perform here today, most likely David Bakhtiari as a Green Bay Packer will not participate at Soldier Field again. Now, he may somewhere else and maybe a Bear. Who knows if the Bears decide to pick him up, because God knows they need offensive line help. But yeah, it's, you start to look at Randall Cobb being nostalgic about playing here at Lambeau Field. And obviously, when Aaron Rodgers came back from the broken collarbone, Cobb came back from injury. Both of those guys connected on that infamous over-the-top touchdown pass that put the Packers in the postseason. Ultimately, they lost the very next wild card game in the postseason, but it put them into the postseason. Remember, they had that big moment together. They've had some good games here together. But, it's probably, I believe Aaron Rodgers is coming back. I think it'll take a little bit of time. Say I'm good to go, and I think you're going to hear a lot of rumors, a lot of innuendos, a lot of skepticism. They love it. They love to have all that negativity circulate, and then all of a sudden he comes riding back in on the white horse and say, yeah, I'm coming back, and he'll give you a bunch of philosophical crap as to why and all the differences and the way it makes him feel and all the other stuff. But that's who cares? But I believe that it's more of a Randall Cobb question today and maybe Bakhtiari question today than it is anybody else. When we come back, Matt LaFleur, head coach of the Green Bay Packers, you're going to hear from him and get some of his thoughts coming up after the game. I know if it starts to get cliche, we're going to look at the tape, and I really don't know, and that's unacceptable, and yada, 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 whatever. Then we'll cut it short, and we'll get more into Mike Clemens. But also our guy Mike Clemens on the ground, inside Soldier Field, the cruise ship parked behind the Parthenon. That's who we're going to talk to coming up here in just a little bit as well. Stay tuned, broadcasting live inside the Sheraton Hotel. Beautiful Sheraton Grand Riverwalk, and you had just a shot a little while ago looking at part of the Shy Bar. You're looking out the window on the Riverwalk out here just across from the Hyatt, across from the canal and the river right here. A beautiful place, and I highly, highly recommend it if you come down. But we love broadcasting down here inside the Shy Bar. Every year we get a chance to come down here and hang out. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. More of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. 28-19, the Green Bay Packers, they knock off the Chicago Bears. The defense holds the Bears to less than 20 and really kind of shut them down the second half, only giving up 3 points, couple of picks to really solidify the deal down the stretch. And the Packers walk away with a win. They take the all-time wins lead in NFL franchise history. And by 1 over the Chicago Bears. These two franchises were tied coming into this contest. So for at least this week, the Packers get to remain and reign supreme. In the meantime, they go to 5-8 on the season. 98% says the Packers, by the way, came up 1 spot in the playoff standings. So right now ahead of the Green Bay Packers are the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Commanders from getting them into the postseason. The Packers are 5-8. The Lions are 5-7. Seahawks are 6-5, and the Seahawks are 6-5, playing right now and trailing right now. As a matter of fact, when they were trailing to the Rams just a little bit earlier, and I'm trying to get the update on the scores. They just to check. They have taken the lead, 14-13. Right now, they lead the Rams without Matthew Stafford, who's been put on IR. And will be out the rest of the year. So you're kind of hoping the Seahawks take a loss there. The Commanders and the Giants tied earlier today. You really could have used the Commanders to lose that ball game. Had they lost, maybe it gives them another loss in the column, and the Packers could have a shot at maybe catching them. But it went all for naught today. It's not out of the realm of possibility for them to lose quite a few games down the stretch. They still have a pretty tough schedule. Anyway, that being said, let's go to Matt LaFleur inside the Packers locker room talking to the media.
Proud of our team, just the resiliency we showed to be down 13 points on the road. It was pretty inconsistent, I would say, for a lot of the game, where we always talk about complementary football, and one side's getting a takeaway, and we don't do anything with it, or we go 3 and out, and but our guys kept battling. They stuck together. We talk about you don't flinch, and they didn't. And it was great to see contributions in all 3 phases. I think anytime you're +3, you're going to have a great opportunity at winning the game. And, it was a great fourth quarter, just a very resilient effort. I think the atmosphere is always great here, especially you can talk Packers, Bears. Obviously, the significance of this game. That's a pretty cool deal for us to be the all-time winningest franchise. And again, it was all around. We found a way to win the game, and that's what it's all about. And I know it wasn't always pretty, but our guys stuck together and we found a way.
Matt, your run plays look good. Aaron seemed to have a lot of time to extend plays, but here's the Bears defense, the coverage downfield was pretty good. What did you do to flip that toward the end?
Well, I think early on in the game, they were playing a lot of soft coverage, a lot of two shell, and it is hard to get the ball down the field when they're going to do that. And I realized that they've had a lot of adversity in terms of just 3 guys out of the lineup, from the secondary going into this game. I mean, that's never easy on a team. And not to mention, they traded away 2 really great players. You got to give them credit. I mean, they battled and made it hard on us, and we had to go earn it. And that's not always easy to do, especially, it comes down to the execution. And we obviously, throughout the course of the season, have not been doing it consistently enough. But, we made enough plays down the stretch in order to, come out on top.
Been asked a lot about Christian's explosiveness. What can you say about today?
Yeah, he definitely had a huge impact on the game. I mean, obviously the 4th down touchdown reception, got a big pass interference call. They kept bumping us, and I was sitting there talking to the guys on the headset. I'm like, we got to throw a go ball to try to get them off of us, and that was a big penalty, obviously. And then, at the end of the game, that's a hell of a call by Adam Stinovich. He was in my ear. He wanted that call. Hey, they're man coverage. 4-minute mode. That's what you can expect. Single high, more man coverage. And, it was funny. Right before we called that play, or right after we called that play, Aaron came over to me and he's like, do we want to stay? Do you want me to tell him to score? Or I said, yeah, tell him to score. But I had to think about it for a second because they had all 3 timeouts. But that was cool just to see the belief and confidence in the play call, in the people out there executing. Certainly Sammy Watkins had a huge block on that. We talked to him right before that. And I know it hasn't been probably the season that Sammy's wanted. Just it started off good, and then he's battled through, getting injured and then trying to get back into the mix a little bit. But I mean, that was a significant play for us. He had another great block on AJ Dillon's run as well. So, I'm just really proud of all the guys going out there and just executing.
You see potential from Christian, what he put together before this breakout. But could you have envisioned the stretch he's on right now? This is one of the best stretches for anyone.
Yeah, it's been pretty remarkable. And it's really cool and I've mentioned it before, just to see his confidence grow and his personality really come out. Because I think, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think most people have a affinity for people that have battled through some adversity and overcome. And by no means is he anywhere near the end of this thing. And I'm sure there's more adversity to come, but it's pretty cool to see the perseverance of a young player to start off the season, missing all of training camp, missing all the preseason games, to go out week 1. You get an opportunity on the first play from scrimmage and makes a great move and is a sure touchdown. He drops the ball. And then you think back to the Dallas game, the first 2 passes of the game, he drops. It's so cool to see guys respond in these moments. And then once you see once he's gained confidence, to see him take off. And just really proud of him. He's a smart guy that works his tail off. It means a lot to him. I think it's cool to see the other guys, they have confidence in him as well. And so it's just a really cool story.
So there you go. That's Matt LaFleur talking to the media. Let's do this. We're going to break away. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens when we come back. Mike is over inside the locker room at Soldier Field. Let me address this real quick. Look, I get it. There's people that say we are not going to the playoffs, so quit talking about it. I'm only giving you the facts. I said 3 weeks ago the season was over. They're not going to the postseason. but it is something that is talked about because you have to. I would be remiss if I didn't at least give you the scenarios in which the Packers still had a shot at making the playoffs. Are they mathematically eliminated? No, they're 3 teams back right now. They got quite a hill to climb, and the likelihood of them doing it pretty much nil. I think it's 98% says they're not even going to make it, but they increased their chances. They jumped up from 11th to 10th today, and if the Seattle Seahawks take another loss, then they're that much close, only a couple of games from Seattle, from being that next team in, which would be behind the Commanders and behind the Giants. And both of those teams have pretty stiff schedules still. So it's not out because the Packers only have 4 games left because of the late bye. Those other teams have 5. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. And I keep telling you, let's just say it does happen, which I think is a long shot. Okay? But let's say it does. This team would have to win to get in, which means they would have won the last 5 straight, which would almost make them, if not one of, but the hottest team going into the football going in to the postseason. Also, don't forget they would have to beat Miami and Minnesota to do it. So the likelihood of them doing it, it's nil. I get it. I understand that. But if they did do it, then you'd have to say, well, wait a minute, look out, because maybe things came together at the end of the season. And that would be very, very real. That's it. 877-867-1670. When we come back, though, Mike Clemens going to be joining us live over at Soldier Field. Stay tuned. We're brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network and the Green and Gold postgame show right here on the network. Stay tuned. We got more after this.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Packers get a win today, 28-19, and they reel off 18 in the second half to win this contest while only giving up 3 after being down 16-10. Going to the locker room, we are broadcasting live inside the Shy Bar at the Sheraton Grand Riverwalk Hotel here in downtown Chicago. Glad to have you along for the ride. We now one more time go over to Soldier Field. Our buddy Mike Clemens is standing by, and Mike, man, they pulled it out. I really didn't think they would. You and I was talking about it earlier about where I was sitting, and you could have heard a pin drop with the Packers brass. But as time went on, the Packers were able to rally, and the offense finally got going, a couple of good drives, and they were able to pull it off.
Bill, you get the win, but I was disappointed from the Packers' performance from the standpoint of a question I asked Aaron Rodgers earlier this week. You know, you're down 7-0 against the Titans. You're down 13-0 against a good team like the Eagles. You're trailing the Buffalo Bills. And here they are down 16-3 to a Bears team that's so depleted. So I asked Matt LaFleur after the game. We talked about how the Packers offense finally took over this game late in the fourth quarter.
We found a way to win the game, and that's what it's all about. And I know it wasn't always pretty, but our guys stuck together and we found a way.
Your run plays look good. Aaron seemed to have a lot of time to extend plays, but here's the Bears defense. The coverage downfield was pretty good. What did you do to flip that toward the end?
Well, I think early on in the game, they were playing a lot of soft coverage, a lot of two shell, and it is hard to get the ball down the field when they're going to do that. And I realized that they've had a lot of adversity in terms of just 3 guys out of the lineup. From the secondary going into this game. I mean, that's never easy on a team. And not to mention, they trade away 2 really great players. You got to give them credit. I mean, they battled and made it hard on us, and we had to go earn it. And that's not always easy to do, especially, it comes down to the execution. And we obviously, throughout the course of the season, have not been doing it consistently enough. But, we made enough plays down the stretch in order to, come out on top.
Mike, first of all, Christian Watson, another big day, very much being highlighted, getting a lot of accolades, 2 touchdowns again for 3 straight games now, being in this contest today. Big day today for him, and he continues to emerge and continues to turn heads.
He did. Now, Christian had a drop or 2. However, he had the nice, smooth-looking 14-yard reception for a touchdown there in the second quarter. Then I thought the real turning point for the Packers offense was when he drew that 35-yard pass interference down the left-hand sideline. And later, with about a minute left, that 46-yard end run. Now, that was probably the best play call Matt LaFleur's had all year, timing-wise. It was perfectly when he called it. And Christian Watson said on his end run to the left, Sammy Watkins, it was his block downfield in that corner, and he was asked what he saw on the play.
To be honest, if I see nothing in front of me, it's looking pretty good. Honestly, that's exactly what I saw. I saw no one. I saw the corner go in with Sammy on his little crack block. I knew if the corner's not coming off, there's no one that's going to make the play from the inside.
Mike, I know, like we talked about Christian having a big day, but Aaron Rodgers, I like the fact that Aaron Rodgers said today and stopped a couple of times to say, when they said, well, you did this and you did, he said, no, we. He stopped. Today he was spreading credit around.
That's good to hear. To me, there's so many times where he's standing back there in shotgun, empty backfield, and then he's just back there extending plays with these sore ribs. And I just wondered why they could not get into that running game. Now, Aaron Jones had to take time off for an ankle injury. Apparently he's got other things going on. So he was in out of the game. That took them out of their 2 backfield set, which they like to run now. That's probably their best one. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But Rodgers with a quarterback rating of only 85.7, he was 18 of 31. And Rodgers talked about it on a day where they trailed all day until the fourth quarter against the Bears team with those key injuries they had just in the last couple of weeks, the 2 players that they traded as they go into their rebuild.
Another fourth quarter comeback. I told the guys in the locker room, we've played good enough to beat anybody in the league, and at times played poor enough to lose just about anybody. Our highs have been pretty solid. Yeah, this was a different Bears team. Obviously, Jalen is a super talented player, but a lot of young guys playing outside of that. One of them 36. But they got a talented quarterback who's got a chance to be around for a long time. Really good running back, stud young receiver, EQ making plays. So it's a competitive game, but definitely didn't want to be walking in here losing to the Bears. It's been a nice 8 straight for us.
Mike, there are a lot of questions about that play in which A.J. Dillon at least perceived to touch the knee and then got back up and took off, should have gotten a first down. And Rodgers is yelling at LaFleur, why didn't you throw the flag? There was questions in the press box, I know, about whether or not there was a whistle, an inadvertent whistle. What happened?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that to you in the press box too. So there's this play where it's early in the third quarter. Packers, get the ball. Now they're trying to get back into this game. Rodgers hands off to Dillon. He goes running up to behind the right guard. He slips and falls on, the crappy turf at Soldier Field, but gets back up untouched, gets into the line. And then, I asked him what happened on that play.
That was just me. I just slipped. Got to pick those feet up.
So that's it. You guys thought that you were never touched on that.
I thought that. That's why I got up and kept running. Even one of the Bears guys was like, "You never got touched." And we were laughing about it. I'm like, "Yeah."
Did you hear a whistle?
No whistle. I didn't hear it. I just got up and kept going.
So he didn't hear a whistle. So Rodgers, they had a right to yell, "Hey, why didn't you throw the challenge flag then?" Right, Mike?
Yes. So that's what Rodgers is yelling. LaFleur claimed later on that he was aware of the play. There's a guy, an assistant named Connor Davis. It's not Adam Stanovich, his offense coordinator, who's up top. There's a guy named Connor Davis as part of their staff. He says he knows all the rules. He watches all the replays. That's the guy that's in the booth. That's the eyes and ears for Matt LaFleur on challenge, what you can, what your options are. And LaFleur depends on that guy 110%. And he told him, Matt, you don't have a challenge on this play. Just in terms of he wasn't eligible even for a challenge. Apparently, Rodgers didn't understand that. That's why you saw him yelling at the bench like, throw the flag. No, we didn't hear any whistles out here. LaFleur claimed there was a whistle.
They came in here in the locker room. They yelled at me.
No.
They said it was your fault.
No. We're looking for the A.J. Dillon cut, Connor.
Yeah, no, that was A.J. Dillon.
Oh, that was A.J. Dillon talking about before. Oh, okay. Got you. I'm sorry.
Before, yeah.
So, Mike,
I
was going to say, did you hear the comments? And I think that's what I'm alluding to is the fact that Jair had a couple of comments about that deep pass from EQ.
Well, you're watching this game, and you saw him give up the one deep one later on. You saw him give up the one to Equanimeous St. Brown, a guy that the Packers drafted in that class of 3 receivers in 1 year, who had a lot of injuries. And at the end of the day, the guy just could never stay on the field. He was slow at times. He's a quiet kid. They thought he could perhaps be their next Christian Watson, but he just wasn't. So they let him go free, and the Bears signed him, and they're so depleted at wide receiver. Here's EQ running downfield, beating. How does he beat Jair Alexander on this place? And so I asked Jair about giving up the 56-yard bomb to Equanimeous St. Brown that set up the 7-yard touchdown run from David Montgomery there in the north end zone. I said, how does this guy beat you when he's slow and a quiet guy?
They came in here in the locker room. They yelled at me. They said it was your fault. You got to give up that long pass. I was like, all right, cool. Say less.
Who yelled at you?
Everybody. Everybody got on me.
Did you yell back at him?
No, I took it. As a man, you got to own up to what you're doing. So. What? Yes, I was super surprised he tried to do that. I can't believe it. Like, I still can't believe it. And then, and then I just can't believe it, man. He's quiet guy. Yeah, he talks some trash at it. He caught it. Look, I would too. I'm not mad at him. I would have talked some trash too. But I don't know. He said something. And, if we was, if it wasn't so many cameras, I would have just gave him a little uppercut, for what he said. But it's all good, though, because I got the last laugh.
What did he tell him at the end?
What I tell him? Nothing. I don't got to say nothing. The results speak for itself.
There you go, Jair Alexander. Mike, real quick, you were talking to me about Bisaccia. You just lit somebody up on the sideline. Who was that real quick?
Oh, that was Ennis Gaines, who they
There you
called Thump, a guy that they brought in as safety, but he made another mental error today on that interference on the punt return, and that's why that guy's been up and down the roster. But the bottom line is Jair Alexander-System, the two deep ones he gave up, he was trying to make a play on the ball and misread it, and they jumped him, and that's how he got beat. But of course, he ends up turning this game to his interception at the end.
Yep, good stuff, Mike. Appreciate it, buddy. Great to have you here in Chicago as always. There you go. That's Mike Clemens. One more time.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you very much. One more time, we are down here at the Sheraton Grand Hotel Riverwalk. We love it here, and thanks to the staff and management inside the Shy Bar in the hotel. Always great hosts down here whenever we come down for the Packers-Bears rivalry weekend, no doubt about it. One more time, before a crowd of 61,233, it was the Green Bay Packers 28 and the Bears 19. Have a great night.